Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I thought I'd film my May wrap up. Just a couple days late into June, but this week was crazy. I was kind of hoping I would do it on the 31st or the 1st, but work was just insane, and I had a couple of between work and life things that I'm like, just didn't happen. So Friday night, I finally have decided I'm sitting down and I'm trying to do this. So anyway, I had a pretty good month for reading, even with a business trip to New York, around Albany area, and then I got 2 days in New York City for the first time, so that was awesome. But that meant a lot of work hours, and then I was gone a whole week, and I didn't read a whole lot. I was doing an editing project, and so I spent most of my time editing rather than reading, and it was just a focus thing. Anyway, so considering that I read 9 books, 3 of them were rereads. One of them I had to, and 2 other ones that I wanted to. And then the other, there was 5 books that I read physically, and 1 audiobook. So anyway, so let me just start into it. The book I had to read for my sci-fi book club was Tinker by Wen Spencer. Now, I read this back in 2009, and I gave it 2 stars. And on the reread, I still give it 2 stars. I think it was slightly better in the second read for me. I caught a lot more stuff that maybe I read too fast the first time. I still like the world building. I like the idea of 2 planets kind of sharing this one area. Elfhome and Pittsburgh, and then how you can't get from one to the other except for a couple of days, or or a certain period of time and stuff. And it was kind of interesting. I liked the elves. I liked creatures they brought in later. No spoilers here for you guys. But I had trouble with the protagonist because she was 18, and she's super smart, and she did a lot of things. I'm awesome, great, way awesome empowerment kind of stuff. And then she would just say some of the dumbest things or do things or just let something happen that I'm like, what? I would never let someone say that or do that to me when I was 18. And maybe that's just my perspective, but I didn't enjoy it. Now, again, I was in a group of people who else voted for this. I did not vote for this because I had already read it. But they were all loved it in the whole series. And I was like one of 2 people who were like, no. 2 of us hated it. There's probably about 1 or 2 who were kind of on the fence. And then everybody else really loved it. And again, I can see it was kind of fun. It was kind of campy, in a little ways. But I don't know. I still didn't like it even on the second reread. So, selling the book. The second book I read was Hard as It Gets by Laura Kay. This is a contemporary romance that deals with ex-military guys and the women that they fall in love with or whatever. So the first story, this is number 1 in the series. I'm not sure how long the series is. I do own BookTube, so I gave this 3 stars. I did buy both books before I'd read this first one, so that's why I just put that out there. I had 2 books. I liked it because I gave it 3 stars. I think I liked a lot of the characters. I'm interested only to continue on because I want to know how the mystery goes that's involved in this book, because it continues into the next one. But the couples change, and I like some of the other guys that we met in this book that were the side characters. I think it's 6 ex-military guys, and I don't know how to say this, but I liked it, but it didn't blow my socks off. There was a couple points where I wanted to kick the male protagonist's butt because I'm like, you idiot. But then, on later reflection, I kind of wonder if I was overlooking the PTSD that could have been involved in that, and maybe I was being too hard, and maybe the female main character was much better about that than I was, and it made me kind of go, well, maybe I better read more on that kind of stuff. So any suggestions about military like that, like the PTSD, like real stuff that I'm kind of interested now. I just kind of want to read more. Maybe that's ignorance on my part. I don't personally know anybody with it from that experience. I have some people who have issues with PTSD and other things, but not military. So I'm kind of interested now. So if you have any ideas, pass it on. Anyway, so I don't know if I'll read the second book or when I will. I have it sitting out in case I feel like a contemporary. I don't read many contemporaries, so we'll see. Of course, that's funny. I pull up the next book is a reread. I have a series that I like by Maya Banks, the KGI novels, and this is book number 9, I think. I'm pretty sure it's 9. Yeah, it's 9. Called When Day Breaks. I went through a mood in April where I wasn't feeling like reading anything new, so I reread most of these because I have books 10 and 11, and I haven't read them yet, and 12's coming out in December, and I'm like, I gotta get caught up with the series. So, this series is actually a military group that usually goes in and, guards and protects somebody from terrorist threats of, any kind of. This one's more, some are stalkerish, some are just bad guys who are trying to take over the world. Anyway, they're fun. They're really outrageous in the plots sometimes, but I love the romances. That's one thing I like about Maya Banks, is that her characters are very realistic in the way that they deal with certain things, and the back and forth between some characters and their significant others, or their about to be significant others. Anyway, but I like them. So there's 2 more books. The next book is so I want to get to that. I just haven't, and I reread several of them, and that was the last one before the book I need to read next that I have not. The next book I read was a library book, so I don't have a copy, and I have not learned how to paste a picture yet. That will be this week's little tutorial. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how you guys put the little picture up. Anyway, and I don't have a nice, pretty iPad to show you anything on. Sorry. So, I read Lincoln and the Bardo by George Sanderson. Or Sanders. Sorry. I've been watching too much YouTube and talking about Brian Sanderson's. Anyway, so George Sanders, and I found this very interesting, and again, I saw it a lot on BookTube from other people who had read it, and some people raving about it, other people not so into it because it is kind of bizarre. It took me a few chapters to understand how the whole dialogue thing worked, and it did really play out, or like it was like a play to me in my head. Like there was a lot of descriptions within things, but to me it wasn't enough. It's not that I like a lot of description in my books. I actually have a tendency to skip over things if it gets too long. So I have to remember and stop and actually go back and read, because I like dialogue. That's my favorite. So that part of it I liked. It was weird. And in a lot of ways I liked it. And I liked the way it wraps up. There were some kind of weird things, like just things that went, I don't want to spoil anything. So, but overall I gave it a 3. I thought it was worth the read. I'm glad I did it. I'm also glad I got it from the library and I didn't pay money for it, but because I don't need it, to sit on my shelf. It was interesting. I'm glad I read it, though. It was good that way. The next book I read was Alchemistic by Anton Strout. I had started this book probably about 8 or 9 months ago. A couple of my friends love this series. Well, I didn't like this series. I gave this a 2. I think I love urban fantasies. I read a lot of them. I even write some. And so the thing is that, not that I'm published. Okay, don't freak out about that. Anyway, I also, I've read a lot of first books for urban fantasies. Most of them I've read the first book at least and decide yay or nay if I'm going to continue on. This one was so hard for me to get through, and I don't know if I've just reached an age where young adults who are just in their early 20s, not knowing what they're going to do, that those are starting to bother me when they're too privileged for their own good, and then they whine about everything. I guess that was the problem. The main character, she just drove me crazy. And I set this book down a couple times, and I actually skimmed the very end. I skimmed about from a quarter to the end. I started skimming a little bit just to give my, I don't read the last page. I kind of skip a couple pages ahead to say, hey, is it anything interesting? Do I want to continue? And I had to keep doing that until I got near the last, last tenth of the book, which I don't think is a good sign of a good book. I didn't enjoy this. I have another one of his books from a different series, because this is the Spellmason Chronicles, and I think I have the ones for the Simon Cateros novels, which I think is Dead to Me is the first book. It's on my shelf. I don't know if I want to pick it up. I might. I follow him on like Twitter and stuff, and it's not like I'm against him or anything. I did not care for this book that much, and so I'm not sure if I'm going to continue on with any of the other books. Definitely not in that series, though. I didn't care for it enough or care what happens. The next book was my first 5-star read of the month, which was The Unyielding by Shelley Lawrenson. And I've read all three of these. This is the book number 3 in the Call of Crows series, and I read all 3, and I love all of them. They make me laugh. Like, there are some books that are funny every once in a while. These ones are like funny all the way through. It's so unrealistic, and it's so like you would not want to be with these people. They're crazy. Okay, cat. Yes, baby. Sorry. This is Cooper, in case you haven't seen him. He is going to be a brat. Nope. Guess you're on down. You won't sit with me. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, I'm going too long here. So The Unyielding, this is book number 3, and I've liked all of these books. I've actually had never read her before. I know she has a couple other series, which I'm going to try now. But these 3, I've laughed so hard. Like, I've read reviews also that they think it's just too outrageous, and it is. They are funny. I laughed all the way through this. And, this one I was worried about, actually, because it's about the female character, the main female character. Again, these are the paranormal romances, which means the couple changes in each book, but we get to see them, the other couples, in the next books, like their cameos and stuff, but or side characters, whatever. But this is so, I was worried about her because she is a smartass, and she drove me crazy in the other 2 books. She would just say and do things. You're like, oh, come on, really? But it was always funny, and this book kind of explained why she did that, and I did like that, but still, it's outrageous, and you have to go into it knowing that this is so unrealistic and weird. But I love the fact it had Norse mythology in this, and there were, Norse gods, and there were the enemies, and then a lot of other stuff in all 3 books. So I am going to continue on this series because they keep coming out. I love them. Anyway, and I'll read more of her books. So anyway, I really like that. The next book I read was The Seven Forges by James Amor. And my brother bought this. He reads incredibly slow, but he's very dedicated. So he reads books he enjoys. And so every once in a while, I'll see a book he has, and I go, oh, I want to read that when you're done. Well, about 3 months later, I get it, because he only reads a little bit here and there, which is fine. I mean, at least he's reading, big deal for a lot of people out there. So this was a fantasy. It's the first in the series. How do I want to say this? Not my favorite fantasy, of course, because I gave this a 3 because, again, I liked a lot of the characters on supposed opposite side. They were the most fascinating. I more want to know about them than I do about the ones that are considered the heroes or the good guys. I don't know if it's really quite got to that point. What I hated about this book was, there's 2 things I really hated about the book. First thing is that it says war is coming on here. No, it's not. This is the first book. You don't know that. Why would you give something like that away? I'm sorry. It's not giving it away. It's right there on the cover, and it's stupid. So that pissed me off. Second of all is, I don't know how you guys feel about author intrusion or narrator intrusion. I don't like it when chapters or sections are closed out with, well, if you'd only known, like, I don't need that. To me, it seems like you're dumbing it down to me, and I don't like it. So this had that a little bit. So if that bothers you, I would just be warned. It didn't happen every time. It just happens sometimes where I'm like, okay, don't spoil this for me. Let me think that's gonna, that's not gonna happen. Then, some of them were pretty obvious. Like they didn't need to tell me that. I knew that that was a bad decision. You know, not because the guy meant to be a bad decision, just you could see where the plot was going. But other times I'm like, don't tell me. Just let me see it as it happens. That bothered me. Anyway. But, so the thing, coming back to my brother, so this is his book, and I'm going to be giving it back to him when I see him tomorrow, now that I've filmed my little video here. But, the thing about this is that, he bought the second book, so clearly he liked it. I didn't want to tell him I didn't. Like, I liked it. Again, I said, okay, it's hard to explain. I liked it, but I would not continue it because I have so many other books to read. But he bought the second book. So guess who's getting the second book once he reads that one? Which could be another 6 or maybe a year out. I might not have to worry about it. We'll see. Anyway, that was that book. So the other book that I reread this month was Rock Hard by Nalini Singh. She is one of my favorite paranormal romance writers, but this is her contemporary series. This was my birthday gift splurge for myself that I bought because it's self-published. She did it all on ebooks and stuff, and I really like the Rock Kiss series. I haven't finished it yet. I have everything but the last novel. I don't know why I'm holding out. I guess I'm just kind of worried. I know they kind of wrap up stuff, and I hear that she might write some more in the series, so I really should read the last one. But this is number 2, and it is my favorite. And I wonder if, I don't know why it is, but it just is. I like it because it has it's like the mouse versus T-Rex, which is kind of cute. Anyway, I guess I don't know how much I should be saying about these, but this is fun. Anyway, it's book 2, so you really should start with Rock Addiction, which is the first one, which kind of actually, those 2 books, they kind of are, the 2 girls are best friends who see the same things from different sides, a few things, but they're both living their lives differently, but they're really close. And I don't know, I liked it. Anyway, and then the last book that I did this month was I listened to an audiobook on Norse mythology by Neil Gaiman, and I'm so glad I did. I love all of his audiobooks that he does himself. He has a great reading voice, and I always enjoy it. Like, I loved the Graveyard book, and oh, I know I had another one that I had listened to. I like his voice for reading. I think he does really well in that, which is probably why they asked him to read the Cheesecake Factory menu with that some charity thing has enough money. Anyway, so I gave it a 5. I know some people may not have liked this because it was so short and kind of sparse in a lot of things, but I think because it was so concise, it told a lot of the big tales that sounds kind of funny, but some of them popped up kind of in this book, which again has Norse mythology as a background behind in that paranormal romance. So it was kind of cool because I'd read that earlier in the month, and then I listened to Norse mythology and went, oh, I see why that character did that. And it was actually in the, for the gods and stuff, and it actually was very fascinating. I actually liked doing the real mythology, and then a book that had some of that stuff in it. So that was kind of neat. That was actually not really on purpose. So I enjoyed it. So anyway, I like a lot of Neil Gaiman. He's not like my favorite or anything. Like, I loved American Gods and Neverwhere. Never could get into Stardust. Haven't ever finished that one. I've read several other. Haven't finished Anastasia Boys, or however you say that. So I like a lot of his stuff, just not everything. And I think I'm kind of, maybe I'm different about that. Some people like and love, or love and hate, or, whatever. And that made no sense. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up. It's way too long. I don't know if I'm going to be able to upload this. If not, I'll be redoing this again. But hey, I got my wrap up. So it's my first wrap up, and I will do better next time. I'm not sure how you guys do it in so short a time with so many books. Maybe that's why you do the reviews separately. I don't know. Anyway, we'll see how this goes. Anyway, later.